welcome everyone. Thank you for being here for our second edition of impACT Stories. And this is 𝗬𝗁 Social Consulting, the pro bono social consulting club of 𝗬𝗁 School of Business and Economics. I'm making 𝗬𝗁 social as well. This is our new initiative to find kind of our role to play in the community and to bring voices of inspiration and of impact to the business school and to our entire ecosystem, which you are all now a part of, we hope. Our ambition with this is really to show and share the many, many different ways that there are to generate an impact in your personal life, in your career, in your academic journey. And for that, we bring to you, we hope, some very daring, innovative, inspiring speakers that will spark your fire to find your path and your journey and your story of impact. And today I will leave my colleague Sophia present to you our speaker for the second edition, and we really hope you will enjoy it.
Thank you, Armel. So yeah, today we have Joe Santos, and I met Joe for the first time last summer during an online client TIFO session that the client relations team of 𝗬𝗁 Social Consulting was doing at the time. I was actually with Leonor, who is also here. And during that call, Joe kept thanking us and saying that what we were doing was amazing and super cool. And in that moment, we had a small glimpse of Joe's energy and of the passion that he puts in everything that he does. And Joe was focused on the corporate world. And after 25 years on this business side, he decided to switch and to focus exclusively on creating positive social impact. So Joe co-founded Vencer Autismo, a Portuguese organization that has helped hundreds of children and their families, and he has touched more than 60,000 people who have attended his inspiring lectures, in which he shares the lessons that life, and especially autism, has taught him. He's active on many fronts of the social entrepreneurship scene, and he is on a love mission to maximize this positive social impact and to specifically show the world what we can learn from those who are different from us. And this is why we decided to invite him for our second talk, because we think his perspective on life is incredibly beautiful, and we wanted to know more about it. So thank you, Joe, for being here with us today, and I'll leave the floor to you.
Thank you so much, Sophia, Armel, Leonor, and all you beautiful people out there. Wow. I can only say good things about 𝗬𝗁. You know, this is amazing. They've already helped us with a virtual reality project that we have at Vencer Autismo, and they have given us the most amazing work. You know, it was like hiring a pro consulting company. And this is done by students, young people, which I am absolutely convinced are not the future. You guys are the present, right? So you guys want me to start? Okay, I'm gonna put show mode on, okay? To make this motivating and captivating and keep everybody awake, right? So I have some questions for you guys. I don't know how we can interact with people. Do we have a chat or something? I would like to ask some questions to start up, okay? The first question is, what is the most important thing in life? What's the most important thing in life? Come on, shoot in the chat or shoot somewhere. Tell me, what is the most important thing in life for you? Health, happiness, whatever that is for every single one of us. Love, freedom, family, relationships, hope, okay? Relationships with people. Mel, you know a lot. So we always worry about some things, right? We say the most important thing is honesty, it's compassion, it's happiness, it's freedom, it's love, it's my family, it's the success of my job, right? All these things. And we forget that we are alive. Does anybody think when you wake up, I'm alive? Just one thing before we continue. Are you hearing me with echo, or is everything okay with the sound? Okay, good. So have you ever thought about this? We are freaking alive. Man, we're made up of 37 trillion cells that are working at the same time in this body to make these arms move around and make my body shake and allow me to speak words that you can hear with your ears and you can understand what I'm saying. This is amazing. You know what the odds are of you being alive? I know that you guys at Nova are really advanced, so I'm sure you're going to figure this math problem out. Imagine you have 2 million people, and each one of them has in their hand a dice that has 3 million faces. 3 million faces. That's practically round, right? The 2 million people throw the dice in the air, and the same face appears on the 2 million die. Amazing. That's impossible. It's 0,0000. It's impossible to be alive, yet we are. And we forget very often that we are alive. Now, I have another question for you. What makes us happy? What generates happiness? Answer, shoot in the chat. What makes us happy? Because everybody agrees that we want to be happy, right? Does everybody agree? It's like, my goal is to be happy. Everybody says, yeah, I want to be happy, but not everybody does it, right? Well, many people with autism do. We'll get to that. Now, happiness. We see here mental health, family, being mindful of the moment, friendships, the people around me I like, well-being, living, a purpose in life. Okay, there's a study in Harvard that accompanied people since 1938. Okay, they took 700 students and they started measuring their habits and what they did every day. And they measured how happy are they, how's their health, how's everything going. And the amazing thing is that they came to a conclusion, because this study is still alive today. And they came to a conclusion that our happiness depends in greatest part by the quality of our relationships, not by the quantity, okay? I know all you guys are looking at the likes and all those hearts that you get on Instagram and stuff like that. That's not what counts. What counts is the quality of your relationships, to such a degree that they are capable of measuring they can predict your health when you're like, if you're 50 now, and they measure your happiness and the quality of relationships you have, they can predict your health when you're 80 better than any medical test that you take today. So happiness is triggered by our relationships. And not only that, our health depends on that too. I have 2 more questions for you guys, especially for the young ones. What's your talent? Who knows? What's your talent? Write down, my talent is, I can tell you guys, my talent is speaking in public, inspiring and motivating, keeping people awake on the other side of the screen. My talent is connecting people, says 𝗏𝗲𝗀. Answers don't come so easy like previous questions, right? So dancing, Daniela, Katia, dancing, that's your talent, okay? And now the question is, what's your passion? What do you love doing? What do you love doing? Like, what would you do even if it were for free, right? Like giving a talk to the Nova Social Consulting fans and followers around the world. Dancing, martial arts. See, you know, the interesting thing, when I asked what makes you happy and why, you know, what's the most important thing in life, everybody had an answer. But when we ask ourselves, what's your talent and what's your passion, we kind of struggle with that, right? Schools aren't helping us too much. I'll get back to all these questions at the end, okay? It's just that we start getting in the mood of really asking ourselves, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it, right? These are really, really the most important questions that they should be bombing students every day at university, okay? It's not really happening. So speaking about university, when I entered university, I had a dream. I wanted to be a businessman. So I wanted to study economics, right? And I entered university, first days, we would study law, and we would study like really complex economy formulas that really didn't help me to build my own business, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to create companies. I didn't want to study laws and things like that I never understood. So I started going to the bar at the university because it was way more interesting. So after 1 week of classes, I wasn't attending classes anymore, but I was attending the bar for sure. Because why? Human relationships, right? It made sense. I was extremely happy at just meeting so many new people and having a lot of fun. So the first year of university for me was just party, party, and party. I didn't study almost anything. And I remember my mom saying after 1 year, almost after a year, she says like, Joe, you should study a bit, right? And I said, Mom, I'm so happy. This makes me so happy. And my mom is a saint, right? So she would say, okay, Joe, if that's what makes you happy, you can, keep going. My dad didn't have the same opinion. My dad thought, okay, you want to party? You want to not study? Go ahead. If you want to go to university, you can do it in the night shift. And then you come work with me every day. And then you can study at night. So I was working as a public relations in bars. I would go to the university, to the bar, and socialize a bit more, and work with my dad until, of course, I had a car accident because I fell asleep at the wheel on the 1st of November of, I don't remember which year, but it's really fun because my last name is Santos, and the 1st of November is 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 car went to, the car was destroyed, but nothing happened to me. And I took a while to understand that the most important thing was not the car, it was that I was alive, right? This is so important, and we so often forget, right? So, and in this process of stopping working, just living life to its fullest, my best friend calls me from Germany and he says, "Hey, Joe, I've got an opportunity for you to come to Siemens, and you have it was a 1-month contract that you can, see how it works here and see if you like it and learn German and whatever." And I said, "Okay, let's go there." And the moment I arrived this was the Center for All Telecommunications project in the world for Siemens. And this was an 18-story building. And at the entrance and at the bottom floor, there was a coffee shop. And it was always full of people from all nationalities. Something like Nova. If you go to Nova, right in Lisbon, you have all these nationalities and people speaking different languages. And it's like, whoa, this is the place I'm going to stay. I mean, this is the place where I have to build my career. The thing is that my responsibility was doing photocopies. So I thought, how am I going to show the almighty Siemens that they have to hire me, right? I'm the one they need. I'm the best, most productive, most hardworking guy in the world. So I started running through the hallways to make the photocopies that I was asked, right? My boss would give me photocopies, say, "Do some photocopies." I would just run through the corridors, make the photocopies. "Here you go, boss. Here are the photocopies." After 2 days, my boss was sick and tired of me. He was like, "Get this guy off of my back. He's too productive." So I started knocking on the doors of other offices. I was on the 12th floor. So I would knock on the other offices' doors, knock and say, "Hey, I'm Joe Santos. I'm bilingual Spanish-English. I don't speak German yet, but I can help because I'm good at Excel. I can do some translations. I can help you. I can even do photocopies if you wish." And I started making some contacts on the 12th floor. And then when I was full, I didn't have enough work anyway. And I went down to the 11th floor and the 13th floor. So I knew everybody in the 11th floor, 12th floor, 13th floor. And I was like doing photocopies for everybody, doing translations, doing Excel sheets. And then I thought, I have to make them think that I'm intelligent, that I can really do stuff. So actually I would study every night German until 2 a.m. And then the next day I would use the words that I learned for them to think that I was especially intelligent. So, and in this process, after doing some internships, a guy appears and he says, "Hey, Joe, I want to hire you. Okay, we're going to hire you. The only thing you have to do is bring your diploma." And I'm like, "Oh my God, my diploma. I had no diploma yet, right? So many days in university in the bar. So I thought, okay, I don't have a diploma. Don't worry, I'm gonna get one. So in the next 3 months, afterwards, the exams would be celebrated, and I had to pass a bunch of exams, which was like a year and a half of my degree. And I studied like crazy. I prayed to all the saints, and I got what I wanted, which was my diploma. So I was in Siemens, and I had it was my dream come true at that moment. So then I go in Siemens, and I start doing a brilliant career and start with little projects in Central America. And then I become the account manager for Spain and Portugal for one telecommunications division, and then for Brazil and United States. And then in my last moment in Siemens, I'm appointed a financial director for a new product worldwide. And in that moment, I say, this is not for me. This is beautiful, great career, super projection, super fast development, whatever. But, everything was too much politics. And I come from a small family-owned business where I would work at many weekends when I was young. And I didn't really understand these politics of power and things like that. Okay, nothing against Siemens. I believe this happened in almost every big multinational company. So I decided I want to create my own company in a warm place at the ocean side. Good idea, right? It's like, I'm not going to have any boss because I think I can decide by myself, and I'm going to enjoy life. I always enjoyed these things. So of course I landed in Cascais, next to Lisbon, where I started my dream of creating a company. And one company, I'm going to fast forward here because it's not very interesting. In that process, I built several companies in Spain, Portugal, and Mexico. And I had 2 cars, 2 apartments. It's just a little bit, when I look back, it seems strange that you work your butt off to make a company make money. And when it makes money, you invest it in another company, in another project to see if that makes more money than the first one, right? And then you burn all that money, and then and it's like this wheel spinning around, right? So in this process, as you see, I've had a brilliant career in Siemens, and now I'm a entrepreneur, or let's say a multiple entrepreneur, and everything's working fine. Now, many people believe that success is creating companies and having more money than you can spend. But something happened that was even better. Make your guesses in the chat box. What happened even better than that? Better than having several companies, traveling all the time, placing meetings on Thursdays so I could enjoy other cities on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I found my purpose, okay? That was afterwards. In that moment, it wasn't the purpose. Love, yes, more or less. I fell in love, yes, more or less. But it's not exactly that. It's even better. Come on, guys. You can do better than that. Even better. What could it be? Let's see if you guys guess. My business failed. Yeah, many failed, many succeeded, but it wasn't that. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys the kicker. I fell in love with a woman from Oporto, and she had 2 daughters. The eldest's name is 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀. She's here, and she's got autism. I entered in the home of autism. And this beautiful girl, she's 8 years old. She's spinning things around. She never makes eye contact. She's speaking alone, things that seemed not connected with what we were speaking or asking or whatever. She would do strange things, but I thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world to see. And that changed my life completely. Entering the home of autism and embracing the challenge of a child that you don't understand brings with it very, very incredible life lessons. For example, you learn to have hope when everybody's telling you the contrary. Like people were saying, it seemed obvious that we had no chance in school, because we even hired a teacher to sit down with her and to remind her that she had to pay more attention. It was like she was disconnecting from the normal process that kids have. But we believed, me and my wife, we believed, this doesn't have to mean that she won't make it just because people don't believe or just because she's not on the same path. Because I spent some years of my life enjoying life. It's like people would say wasting my life, right? And here I am, I'm alive and I'm doing good, right? So it's okay if she takes a little bit longer. Let's just go at her speed. And we started working with her. We looked for solutions around the world on the internet, and we started implementing some strategies. And it was amazing. From like 0 second eye contact, we started having half a second, 1 second eye contact. So we thought, wow, if she can have 1 second eye contact, maybe we can make 2 seconds, right? Let's work on that. So we started working with 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀 like crazy. We worked with 𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗀 32 hours per week, one-on-one. So her bedroom was a therapy center where we had volunteers coming in and coming out of home just to help 𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗀 to overcome her challenges. I'll tell you the outcome of 𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗀 later, in case some of you must be really like, okay, what happened with 𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗀? I'll stick to what I learned with her and with other children we accompanied with autism. We learned not to judge. You have a child, you have no idea what's going on in her mind. So you understand and you accept that we have no idea what happens in people's minds, right? Even if I know Sophia now for a while, we've been exchanging some conversations about trypophobia and really cool stuff. But I have no idea what's going on in her mind. She's smiling now, but maybe she's not happy. No idea, right? So not learning not to judge a child with autism teaches us not to judge anybody else. And this allows us to be so much more, let's say, okay with everything that's going on, so much more, let's say, accepting of whatever happens and other people's opinions and what they could be feeling, right? And this allows us to make more questions instead of making so many assumptions, which usually don't help us so much, okay? So non-judging is very, very, very important. How often do kids, do we say, I was gonna say kids, how often do we say like, I think blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, Joe said blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't say blah, blah, blah. He says, I think. You know what I think means? When I hear I think, somebody says I think, I translate. I have no fucking idea. You can beep that, okay? You guys are recording that. You have no idea, man. I think means you think. It doesn't mean it is. This is very important, right? See how we judge so rapidly, right? And this leads to a bunch of confusion. In relationships, in companies, in everything. It's all about if we really understand what's going on in the other person's intention or what they're doing, etc. Right? So beware for the I think. Okay, non-judging people. Okay, it's very important. Also, understanding and accepting of people's will and their opinion. For example, write in the chat, what's your favorite color? That's an easy one. Yeah, that's an easy one. You guys that should be an easy one for everybody. Blue, yellow, white, orange. Okay, so I'll sum up here. So we have 3 blues, 2 yellows, 1 white, 1 orange, 1 gray. Who wins? Who's the best? Who's right? No one, says Natasha. Okay? No one, says Leonetti, or last name Leonetti. No more opinions? Who's right? I'm not a teacher, okay? You guys can give your opinion without feeling obliged to get it right? Everyone says Taku, okay? So let's think about this. If I say that my favorite color is blue, or let's say pink, my favorite color is pink, I'm right. It's my favorite color, right? Anybody who said yellow or gray or white or blue, whatever, you are right. This leads us to the next issue we can think about, which is any opinion you have, anything you say, anything you do is the best. Because if you would have known to do better, you would have. It's just that with the information you had, with the conditions you were living under in that moment, with your education, with your experience, you were doing the best you could. Always. Everybody is doing the best they can, always. Does this mean that they can't improve? Absolutely not. We can always learn from what we did and then apply in the future if we wish and we have the energy to do so. But everybody is always doing the best they know and the best they can. Otherwise, they would do differently. This is very important, right? Because we are so taught to judge, to point, to say, look, you know, he or she didn't do this or that. I can do it. This is what I was living in my corporate or my for-profit life, right? It's like, oh no, I'm the best. You know, we can do this, or this company, we can get this contract. They're the worst. It's all competition. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know, in school, compete, don't copy. You know, do it by yourself. You can't share anything. And then you get to the real world and it's like, collaborate. Of course, you have to share, right? At least in the same companies, but don't share with the competition. They're always competition. Missing out on the opportunities. Okay, I'll get to the whole social entrepreneurship and what I live in my non-profit life now, let's say. Okay, so non-judging is so powerful, so important. It's also very important to be, and another lesson I learned from autism, to be present here, now. If you're thinking about the past, something you did wrong in the past, or you're blaming yourself still for something that already happened, you can't change, right? Or you think about the future, you're worried about something that might happen, never gonna happen. I mean, anything we've ever planned, anything, you guys think, anything you have ever planned in your life that turned out exactly the way you planned it and you thought it, same colors, same shape, same time, same people, never, ever, impossible. And yet we're worried about that, right? Or future is something we really want, we could be worried or could be excited. Okay, we can also dream. Dreaming is good. Now, the only place where stress does not exist is the present. You can't be stressed in the present. It's impossible. The most beautiful place when you're truly in the present. I always say, especially when I'm speaking with young people, you guys are young, if you have 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, you're peeing on the present. Okay? Never forget that. The present is all you have. And it's the place to be. And it's the place where you're going to feel complete. Okay. Another lesson that autism taught me, I'm going to speed through these before so I can get into the social impact world. Love. Autism taught me how to love. But I don't mean love like romantic love and the sky is blue and the birds are singing. No, when I mean love in capital letters. To love is to accept unconditionally. To love is to accept without conditions. Accepting 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀 when she used to eat the soup with her hair inside, right? Or love her when she was having epileptic attacks and we knew she was doing the best she knew with her body, right? Acceptance. That is love, like true acceptance. I love you, but if you do that, then I don't want to be with you. That's not love. Who do you really love? Like your best friends and your family. Imagine that they did something awful. You would still love them. You'd say, okay, let's sit down. What happened? There is complete acceptance there. That's a really powerful lesson with autism, right? We help so many parents to go through this path of acceptance. And acceptance is actually just making understanding what is, and that's it. You know what is, so you're already at the base, and then you go work for whatever your goals are, etc. Okay, so and the beautiful thing about all these lessons is that they are so applicable to our everyday life on all senses, and it's very, very coherent with entering the social impact world. So I come from a world where I used to go to congresses, and everybody in the congresses are like in the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, for example, and you'd have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people going in there to see what they can extract from the others. When you get together with social entrepreneurs, everybody goes in and see what they can give. Like, how can I help, guys? You know, everybody. Can you imagine a world where everybody would get together and always say, how can I help? You know, everything is so much easier, right? So I was fortunate enough in my life. I was invited to, 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀𝗧 is here. He's such a good friend, and he's always been present in all the actions of Vencer Autismo, not only as a friend, but as a mentor, as a sponsor, everything. And João managed to hook me up with let's say I don't know how you call it, the licensee of 𝗦𝘁cie𝗿𝗶𝗲𝗀. And they invited me to speak in 2015. I told my story, I finished my story, and you have more than 1,000 people standing up, standing ovation, more than 60 seconds. And I think to myself, what the hell am I doing with my life? Playing the company game when I have the power, the talent, and I actually enjoy doing this, of speaking in 15 minutes, conveying a message and allowing the hearts of those 1,000 people to grow one size, right? And that's where I start shifting and I say, okay, I should do something different. I'm passionate about the autism thing, and I have the capacity of conveying the message. We have to communicate with people differently so they understand autism. That happened the 18th of April, 2015. In August 2015, I dropped out of all my companies, and I was dedicated only to social impact and to projects that have a positive impact on humanity or on civilization. And in this journey, we started with where everybody's at, let's say, like autism is the problem, you know, poor little them, doing some therapies and trying to help them with great success. So we helped them succeed. And we thought, and our ego played a big part there, we've got the solution. So bring us the children with autism and we'll help them all. Wrong. We can only help people. I mean, the therapeutic approach is a great support for people that live close by and or have money, right? So the question was, how do we help more than 15,000 people in Portugal that have autism? We won't do it with a therapy approach. So we started studying the problem of autism. I met Untitled Chapter, very linked to one of your directors at Nova, used to be the CEO of Untitled Chapter Social Business School. And they taught me what social impact means. And the whole new world opened in front of me. And that's what you guys do at 𝗦𝘁 Social Consulting so well, which is measuring the actual impact, not how big you are or how you impress people or how pretty your website is, but how do you really make an impact, a change in the people's lives. So we started giving conferences around the country. Me and my wife, we would do between 1 and 3 conferences per week all around the country. And we've already spoken about autism to, I think it's more than 55,000 people in free conferences, free workshops, so they can understand autism and be part of the change to help their children. The impact we're making is amazing. And it's not just, the impact is not speaking with 55,000 people. The impact is that when people go through the process that we've set up in big regions like Área Metropolitana do Porto, 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 do Minho, is that through the process, the children that are being accompanied by their caregivers are reducing their autistic condition in average by 14% yearly. And we only have to dedicate to them between 1 and 3 hours per month to achieve these absolutely incredible numbers, which is making caregivers happy. And we're not giving them, like you have this comparison with give the people the fish or the, how you call it, the fishing stick, whatever, I don't know how you call it. You guys get the idea. We don't even give them the fishing stick. We give them techniques on fishing. It's like, we don't even give techniques on fishing. We give them understand fish. We explain to them what fish do and why fish do what they do and what fishes love. Well, that's something they have to discover, but okay. Because if they understand fish, they're going to be able to fish. I don't have to tell them what to use, right? Same thing we do with autism. And it's amazing. I'm so hyped up today because we launched 5 hours ago, a crowd lending to raise 25,000 euro so that we can start helping people in Brazil. We have so many people, so many fans, and so many people asking for help. We need this for digital marketing. We've raised, in these 5 hours, we already raised 50% of what we needed. We thought this would take a month. We raised 12,500 euro in the last 5 hours. Wow. Because we have, so many people that understand that this makes absolute sense. So that's just, I don't know, something, I'm so happy about that. So the idea, I'm sure you guys are getting the idea of why working on social impact makes so much sense, affecting so many lives positively, instead of just working to make your own company and make your own money and make more of what and for what. It's like the purpose is I don't know where it is. Now, if you work for helping families, caregivers that are lost, that they don't know where to go, they're desperate. People are telling them, your child has no chance, never. Your child will never speak. Your child will never do this, never do that. That's all a lie. Because nobody can predict the future. I don't know if you guys know somebody that has a crystal ball and says, yeah, I can see the future, right? If nobody can see the future, why do we have people telling parents, your child will never do that? Because it's impossible to see. Now, we have the chance to tell these parents, your child will. I know he will. To empower them, to give them the hope and the willingness to try. Because when we have hope, at least we try, right? And then things change dramatically. And we have this experience and we know this ignites so many fires of hope, of love, and of chances for people that had no chance previously. So as you see, autism, other challenges can be life-changing for us. I'll just finish with this. I know I'm 1 minute late now. Society prioritizes producing and consuming. Children with autism prioritize being happy, being sincere, accepting people around them, right? So if we want to measure people with autism in a degree of humanness instead of a degree of success that people are always speaking about, I believe that people on the autism spectrum are way up there, right? And they are a chance for us to learn. God gave us the chance, God or the universe, whatever you guys believe in, gave us the chance to live on this beautiful planet with trees, animals, the ocean, mountains, beautiful people, like all the beautiful people from 𝗦𝘁liche Social Consulting, instead of placing us on Mars. Have you seen Mars? It's just dust and sand and rocks, right? No, we get the chance to live here. But God is a little bit playful, pretty much playful. And he throws us presents, but they are dressed up or they're disguised as challenges. So we see those challenges like your son has autism. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. And we have two chances. Or we push away the challenge or we allow ourselves to embrace it. And when we embrace those challenges, those gifts that God sends us, that's where the real surprise appears. That's where the real prize is. Embrace the challenge. You never know where you're going to find it. I'm not going to give you guys advice how to become social entrepreneurs because you're going to have to wait for the moment it appears in your life. But when it appears, oh yeah, time to embrace. I love the heart there. Thank you, guys. I'm available for questions, comments, insults, whatever you guys want. I'm here.
No insults. This is a safe space. First of all, thank you, Joe, for sharing your story and for I think stimulating a lot of passion and hopefully passionate thoughts in all of us. I want to open the floor for any questions, any comments. Let's make this a discussion. Let's try and show as much energy as Joe, even though this is for many of you, I think, exam period and midterms. But I would love to hear some questions, some prompts for any discussion. Does anybody feel inspired?
I do.
Go for it, Joe.
I'm inspired.
I'm just feeling inspired, but I also feel inspired. No one's going. I'll ask a question because I have actually a big one, I think.
Okay.
So after your career in, let's say, the traditional corporate world, when you decided to, turn your life around and turn your back on that, how did the people around you take it? I think we talk a lot about acceptance, and it's a very big point that you made. Mm-hmm. Did people accept it? Did people question it? Did people struggle with it? Like, what was the reception of that?
I think it was, that's a good question. I never thought about that. I mean, I had comments like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Are you crazy? But I also think that I never even looked at that. I didn't really care about that because I knew what I wanted. And then, it's like when I went to 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧, it's like, okay, I'm going to learn a new language. I'm going to become quadrilingual. I'm going to live at the ocean, at the beach. Worst thing that can happen is I'm going to party for some months, and I'm going to give it a try to build a company. So what can go wrong? I know that other people are worried with stability, and you're earning so much money, but I have a different relationship with money. Money is a tool, it's a measurement, it's a resource, but it's for sure not keeping me hostage or prisoner.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. So Joe, I understood you were pretty successful, if you want to say it like that, before you decided to become a social entrepreneur. But for example, we are still in the beginning of our career and don't have any, let's call it, financial assets where we maybe could live from how would you say is a good way to start into the topic of becoming a social entrepreneur? Because in the end, let's be honest, we all have to pay rent, have to buy food and all that stuff. And I would be interested in how would you really recommend us to do that?
I think that's a wonderful question, Max, because we managed to build Vencer Autismo because we had the resources to do so. I mean, my wife stopped working in her grandparents' company for many months. Also before I dropped out of my companies, and then I dropped out of my companies, we still had a gasoline to pay. Not for us, because what we would pay is we would need the money to pay the salaries, right? So that was, I think this part of the success of Vencer Autismo is because we had the resources. So for whoever wants to start without having those resources, I think the most important thing is that you do something that you're passionate about, that you're really, like that cause really resonates with me. Not just helping for the sake of helping, because you have to really love what you're doing, because then you're going to give it your all, and then it's not going to be an effort. It's going to be automatic. It's like you're going to get home from university and say, I'm going to see how these things are going, and I'm going to help. I'm going to create this. I'm going to create that. So, because sometimes I had this conversation with the guys at UDream, and they asked me, how to start doing some social project. And I think sometimes you just have to wait. If you know you want to help, you just, you stay on the lookout. And when your heart says go, then you give it all. And then you can volunteer. I think each time you have more opportunities to volunteer in many places. Sometimes question your own comfort, need, right? Like saying, okay, I really want this money to pay this or that. But then you could actually, if you want to prioritize, or I'd say the other way around, when the moment comes, you will be willing to sleep at the sofa of a friend's house and do whatever you have to do to continue with your dream, be it making a for-profit company or be it working in the social entrepreneurship scene. But I think it's very, very super interesting to listen to all these people's talks. Like 𝗏𝗺𝗽𝗀𝗧's talk was beautiful, the last impACT talk. And you listen to social entrepreneurs. That's way more interesting than listening to the for-profit entrepreneurs, no doubt. And I've seen a lot of that. I used to be a Harvard Business Review subscriber all the time. It's always been interesting. It's still semi-interesting. But then you go Stanford Social Innovation Review, and then whoa! Now we're speaking about impACT, right? Now this is the real thing. This is life. This is people, right? And then, but you have to see, that's my passion, right? You have to find your passion. Each person has to find their own passion, and then it's go with the flow.
Leonor, do you want to go next? I see your hands up.
Still on the, well, thank you so much, first of all. Still on the acceptance that Armel was mentioning, do you think you came to revolutionize the way your wife saw autism, or did she already embrace it like you do now?
I hope she's watching. This is a good one. Oh man, this is funny because, okay, I understand that I was brought up in the States. My mom was born and brought up in the States. My dad is Spanish, and I was given a lot of liberty along my youth. So I think in my personality type, I'm very, I'm what other people would call daring. I remember the first time I mentioned to Susanna, I said, we should take 𝗏𝗧𝗧 out of school. We should homeschool her. You're crazy. You can't do that, you know? And 𝗏𝗧𝗧, it was just didn't make sense for her to be in school. So I did help. I don't know. It's really cool because my relationship with Susanna is she's very down to earth, super objective, right? Super security and stuff. And I'm completely way up there flying all the time and dreams and the future and things like that. So we actually complement ourselves beautifully. Like I help Susanna reach places where where it's a challenge for her to go. And she takes me to places where it's an absolute challenge for me to go. So things that for me are obvious are not obvious for her. And things that are obvious for her are really not obvious for me. And we kind of play around in this middle space. So, but I think there's another reflection to your question, which is how Vencer Autismo is revolutionizing the way we are doing autism, right? Like, for example, we apply for contests. And in the contest, when you fill in the forms, it's actually normally asking for, in where we participate, like, how many children with autism are you helping? And we're like, no, we're helping the caregivers, because if we give the caregivers all the tools, they're going to help like big time all of the children with autism that they're helping. And this is actually it's not even understood yet in many big corporations, in many big foundations. Okay. So what Vencer Autismo was saying is, okay, let's look at the whole 360 degrees, what's around this child. Let's, we follow this principle. When a flower doesn't flourish to its fullest potential, you don't try to fix the flower. You place fresh soil, you water it, you place it under the sun, and the flower flourishes. See, we don't intervene on the flower. We intervene on everything that's around the flower so that the flower has all the conditions so it can grow. And we know that many more flowers grow in much easier and more flow in a more natural way. And that's why therapies with autism don't work. It never worked. Or unless you have a lot of money and then you hire therapists to work full-time with your child. That works. But very little families have that possibility. That's a lot of money. But what we're finding, and it hasn't been easy. It looks easy now, but it's been a lot of testing to get to the moment where we found a solution that with very little resources and almost free for everybody, we manage to give solutions that are really revolutionizing the autism world. And I do think that this open-mindedness and this playfulness has brought a lot of value into that.
That's really beautiful way to put it as well. And I think that analogy to the flower and to actually providing the conditions is so important in so many issues, to stop looking and expending extensive resources on trying to fix what we believe is the problem, rather than looking around at the roots and where it's coming from in so many current issues as well. I see, Natasha, that you have a question as well.
Wait, before that, right, we'll get to Natasha. Reflecting on that, it's so, shit, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead, Natasha. I'll remember it later.
Maybe I can help. Maybe we'll come back to you. My question was about what you were saying earlier, just now with your answer about the resources available, because I work at 𝗫𝗧 and there's this really cool initiative called the Inclusive Community Forum. Yeah. And it was created by exactly someone who has, a corporate job, and he and his wife decided to adopt a child who had very severe disabilities, and someone who was very privileged. Basically, he was very honest about it, and he said, well, I came to the conclusion that I have the same disadvantages and the same difficulties that someone from around the block can have, which is regarding the resources available to deal with all the barriers and all the difficulties that everyone's bound to face. So my question was really about like the difficulties that you and your wife face, and how, and basically like the resourcefulness that it took you to corner some of them, which basically you probably didn't, because there's still many barriers nowadays. But yeah, how does one mentally cope with that? And also, I have so many questions, not only just how the mental strength that both of you have, but also, of course, financially, as you mentioned, but you don't need to cover that because you already talked about that. It was just basically like the mental strength for new parents to deal with this. And yeah,
I think
just basically
the biggest challenge was financial, but it wasn't financial. It was that we couldn't accept that that public entities and even private entities wouldn't give us more resources to help more families. That was so hard until we accepted, and here comes acceptance. Until we accepted, okay, everybody's doing their best. Governments are just, people in the government are doing the best they can just to manage public funds. They're not there. They don't have the capacity, the time, the resources to implement new solutions and to innovate. They don't. That's not their motivation either. Their motivation is just managing what they've got, right? So actually accepting it is what it is, and let's do the best we can, has actually brought us to a place where we do fundraising, crowd lending for fundraising, where we do now digital marketing, and we sell some courses, some a little bit more expensive, not too expensive, 15 or 20 euro for a 4-hour masterclass. So we try to make it popular, but we reached a point where now we reach so many people. It's incredible. We have like 4,000 new people inscribed in our events per month. This is crazy. It's autism. It's not, if it were how to manage Instagram, then maybe it makes sense to have 4,000 people, right? But no. So this was the biggest challenge. This was the biggest challenge. And now I remembered what I was going to tell Armel, which is the problem, right? You said the problem. Now, the child with autism, the problem. And that's how society sees it. Now, let's look at 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧. Here she is, okay? My stepdaughter. You guys have to watch her TED Talk. She's got a TED Talk. This is something major, something big. So the day that my wife and 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧's father knew that 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧 had autism, or they got this, okay, something's wrong with our child, that was a problem. Our child has a problem. But now let's fast forward today. Oh, and I never told what happened with 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧. Fast forward to today. 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧's autonomous. She's studying to be an actress. She has a TED Talk, also with a standing ovation of more than 60 seconds. So I think we're the first stepfather with TED Talks with standing ovations. There you go. And she did it in Spanish. And of course her place is on the stage and you can tell, and she did a wonderful job. She's happy as can be. I don't know anybody happier than 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧. You'll meet her at home and she's just laughing by herself. She's speaking to herself. She's laughing at her own jokes. Man, I don't know anybody happier than 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧. I really don't, And then people are saying he suffers of autism. It's an expression in Portuguese, sofre de autismo. How do you know he's suffering? Did you ask? Because nobody that has autism is going to say, I suffer from autism, because they don't. They actually have qualities that allow them to be happier. Things can change. It can become complicated when they start understanding people around them and they get this judgmental thing and they're not accepted. Any of us would be depressed. Remember, happiness depends on the quality of our relationships. So people with autism are not depressed or anxious because they have autism. They're depressed or anxious because people don't understand them. Right? So in the 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧 as being the problem when her parents knew. Fast forward today, hundreds of thousands of families have followed our Facebook page, seen our free courses, have decided and implemented new ways to communicate, interact with their children. Vencer Autismo has been the light in their lives to turn from complete darkness to complete light and new and a new illuminated life, right? With hope and getting things done and living a beautiful journey just with improvements. So the question is 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗧's autism a problem? Or is it the most wonderful thing in the world?
I think you've definitely answered that. Joe, there's one more question from Teku about how your previous entrepreneurial journey prepared you for what you have built now with your family and your project. And I think maybe we'll take that one as a last question for the sake of time.
Yeah, absolutely, Taku. I mean, I think it's very important that you have, I think we live in a society where one of the biggest problems is that people don't have the stability of knowing they have enough next month, right? Or they can pay the rent, or they can have enough money to fulfill the needs of their children. And that's something that me and my wife, she was also a businesswoman or entrepreneur. Our life allowed us to make some investments in apartments and stuff. And that allowed us to do many more things, because that gives us the freedom of doing what we truly want to do instead of doing what we have to do to reach the end of the month. So also that, and also the whole experience of planning, financial, sales, everything. Although for a while, since I was looking only at government funds, I forgot that I had once been an entrepreneur, that we could actually steer Vencer Autismo in order to do things that we can sell. And the moment that clicked, and that happened like 2 months ago, we started booming like crazy, and now things are just happening. So sometimes we actually forget what our talents are, right? See, talents and passion, so important.
Great. I think that closes the loop very well from your initial questions to come back now to these topics, and about how, as you mentioned many times today, it's important for everybody to find what their talent is, but also to, keep their eyes open to what comes their way, and to be able to be open to changing your perspective on things, and to accept things as they are and actually embrace them as they are. And I think that's probably the key message, at least I took away today, is to really focus on the moment and on what you have and what's there, and how your talents, your perspective on the world can enhance and contribute, as opposed to try and fight or solve so-called problems, when really they're a beautiful opportunity to see the world in a different way.
There you go. You guys know more than I do. I don't know why you guys invite me. You guys should be speaking. You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, well, we really, really appreciate you taking the time today and sharing your message and your inspiration with all of us. And really hope that it was a great experience and a great evening for everyone who was here. Thank you all for taking the time. And we hope to see you also in 2 weeks at the 3rd edition of our impACT Talks with another one of our current clients, actually, from 𝗶𝗺𝗀𝗧 El Salvador, who is also going to be talking to us about how unexpected, challenges thrown our way by life are actually a beautiful opportunity to change your life around, find your purpose, and bring it to others. So thank you so much, Joe. Thank you all, and I wish you a beautiful rest of the evening and of the week.